Hello and welcome to our tarot video for the week of September the 3rd through the September the 9th. I'm Breege Burke for Liminal Tarot, and I am connected with Transition Life Coaching, and that is my business. Those of you who might be watching who used to come see me in Marstown, the Marstown location is actually closing next month, so I'm now doing readings and such exclusively from my home virtually. So if you check out liminalreiki.com, check the link down in the description. There's more information about how you can get readings with me, but I also do what I call sovereignty coaching. And and I talk a little bit about that on my Instagram, what that means, but you can also check out the liminalreiki.com webpage to learn more. And I also do a number of other things, including Reiki. For local clients, I will do Reiki out of the house here. So so check that out. That's a quick update. For this week, we've just gotten past a blue moon and a supermoon in Pisces. We now are in a situation where all planets except Mars are retrograde, although Venus will be going out of retrograde this week on the 3rd. I'm actually recording this a day early this week. I'm, now that I'm not working my Saturdays over at the Annex anymore. So we have that's going out of retrograde this week. We still have Mercury in retrograde, although that will be going out of retrograde towards the end of the following week. So in the next reading that we have after that, you'll have that information. So this is a collective reading that I'm doing for everybody, and I'm starting by using my cartouche cards, and I'm doing an astrological reading. So this one is a lot more detailed than what you might see in another more generic collective tarot pulls. This has a little bit more pull because it also deals with the current astrological influences. I find that when I do the horoscope spread, those of you who read would know about horoscope spreads, that this is something that I have, it gives you a tremendous amount of information. So even if, a lot of people prefer to have readings by sign, that might be something I do at some point down the road. I'm not really able to do that at this point in time. But but really the bottom line is this: if you've decided to tune into this reading, if you're drawn to this channel, into these readings, then these readings probably most likely are for you, or that they touch on something that's going on in your life. And so if you do like this channel, please hit the like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment if you are so inclined. Okay, so we've got our cartouche cards down, and our tarot deck for the week is the Tree of Life Tarot, which is a Kabbalistic tarot deck. It's a more esoteric one. And I'm going to lay these out. What I do is I lay these out in double. I will lay out a cartouche, and I will lay it out with tarot cards on top of it. And then I will end with something from a random oracle deck that I have. I will give you more information on things and a piece of advice from that. Okay, so our cards for this week. Now we're going to start with the first astrological house, which is Aries. And in Aries, we are going to have this this idea of the Aries has to do with it's the I am energy. It's about who I am, who you are, how you're presenting yourself to the world, how you're dealing with issues that just have to do with yourself, with your how you project yourself, the image you want to present to people, and that includes body image, how you want people to identify you. That's all part of this first house. And I usually I don't necessarily do this with other houses, which is kind of odd when I think about it. But I also look at this in conjunction with the 7th house, which is the house of Libra. And that is the house that has to do with partnerships. So if this first house has to do with you, the 7th house has to do with how you relate to others, whether they be spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, whomever, business partners. Any kind of committed relationship falls into the 7th house. So we start with the first house here. Now this is interesting. We have the Crook and Flail. Now Crook and Flail, that's actually a very good card for the first house because that shows self-confidence. It shows, if we have been embracing a lot of self-doubt recently, and we have felt that we are not, we're not as confident in ourselves, not as sure about ourselves, about how we're projecting ourselves, what we're doing. Crook and flail seems to indicate a recovering of that confidence, or need to recover that confidence. So we can feel reassured that, you know, we are projecting ourselves the correct way to other people, that we are making the right decisions and the right judgments for ourselves. We have it with the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune, which connects Jupiter and Venus energy here across Kabbalistically. The Wheel of Fortune is literally about events that are like transformations that are beyond our control. So there are forces working in our lives right now that are going to change us in a very, very fundamental way. And the Wheel of Fortune indicates, you know, that this is not, so it's not something that you have to take an initiative or make an effort on. It's going to be, the words that come into my mind are that, you know, there's going to be things that clear up. There's going to be a clarity about yourself and what you're doing and where you're going, because the wheel always turns. If you've been dealing with periods of bad luck, or, you know, again, that kind of self-doubt, we've seen a little bit of that over the last few weeks of readings. The Wheel of Fortune is good news because it indicates a turn of events that is not necessarily precipitated by you or any decisions, is the way I feel about this one. But you are moving into another cycle, and the wheel's turning again. And if you have made mistakes in the past, Wheel of Fortune would indicate there may be an opportunity now to correct these things. We're still not quite at the end of Mercury retrograde, and that is actually one of the characteristics of Mercury retrograde, is this ability to correct. Now, if we look across at the 7th house, which has to do with relationship, and it's Libra energy, this is interesting because we have a fire card. So fire can indicate passions. It can indicate feeling passionate towards somebody. Now, the passion can go either way. It can be passion in a loving and romantic sense, in the sense of, you know, being hot for somebody, or, you know, that kind of energy. But fire can also have to do with, or somebody who inspires you. Fire can also have to do with, you know, the purifying, getting rid of things. Sometimes it has to do with strong emotions like rage or anger, but I'm not really seeing that here, because our companion card here is the 3 of Wands, which is also known as the card of virtue. And the 3 of Wands has to do with, you know, this is Sun in Aries energy over here. And when we see this, it has to do with the way that we connect with other people. 3 of Wands usually is represented on like the Rider-Waite deck as a person kind of standing on the shore with the 3 staves, like waiting for a sign, waiting for that ship to come in. So you could be waiting for a signal from somebody. If you are in a romantic relationship or trying to get into one, it could be that you are waiting for somebody to give you a sign, to show you, you know, to communicate their intentions to you, or to, you know, or in a business sense, this can have to do with a collaboration. This can mean looking for an opportunity to work with others. When you get to the threes always are sort of a group effort. They're collaboration. So, you know, this is something that we can see happening with this here. So in that case, we could look at this fire card as inspiration. We may be inspired to do a project and to involve others in that. So that pairs very well with the 1st house here, because it's almost like we're now in a confident position, and now we're inspired to move forward and to work with people in the way that we need to. Now, if we go to the 2nd house, which has to do with your values, with money, possessions, this is the house of Taurus. And wow, we have Hathor, the card of Taurus, really, in the house of Taurus. Because Hathor has to do, if you compare it to the tarot deck, it has strong Empress energy. And this is the idea, again, this is a feminine card. So sometimes it is about making money through things that we traditionally associate with being feminine. But, you know, and for women, though, this would almost indicate a sense of, that's a little bit more like 9 of Pentacles energy. Like, you know, you've got it together. You're sorting it out on your own. For men who are watching this reading, Hathor, yeah, again, it could have to do with that idea of making money through something traditionally associated as feminine. It could have to do with, you know, a woman who might be partnering with you or might be helpful in that particular venture. Or it can just, again, be this general sense of abundance. Hathor is connected with the anima, Jungian terminology. So for a man, this would, again, there's that idea of inspiration, like we see over here. This would be the female soul. So there again, there's definitely a strong idea of planting seeds and with promise of prosperity when we see Hathor in the second house. And we have it with the Ace of Cups, which is interesting, the root of the powers of water. And this is, so this would actually indicate, it could indicate a new love. So yeah, again, that could be the partnering thing. Or it could just mean that now you are moving into an opportunity to make money either with someone you love or doing something that you really love. So so this is promising new beginnings, and cups are always emotional. So this would have something to do with your with your emotional life, okay, with something that gives you great emotional pleasure of some kind. So, and who knows, sometimes for some people, maybe it has specifically to do with a partner or with a new relationship, maybe a new relationship that also ends up being a financial one. So if we actually, I am going to look across at this point to the house of Scorpio, which is the 8th house, which is the house of other people's money, just to see if I can confirm what's going on there. And, okay, so we have, actually it's funny, we got 2 4s here. We got a number, I don't know if you can see this, we've got a 4 here and a 4 here. So that's interesting. Bastet covers a lot of ground. In the 8th house of transformation, I would say that Bastet has to do with, diving deep and listening to our intuition. Our inner voice is going to tell us a little more now than, our practical musings that we have about, maybe it could be that the picture that we have right now is not accurate as to where we're going. And we have the 4 of Pentacles. 4 of Pentacles is a card of stability, of staying put. So this is a reluctance to move outside of the comfort zone. And we're having it with Bastet. So there's 2 possibilities there. Bastet has to do with enjoyment as well. It can do with having a good time, using your intuition, using caution, kind of feeling things out, feeling the situation out. And 4 of Pentacles might just be saying, like, financially and so forth, maybe you're kind of holding ground currently. But ultimately, this is about, there's this idea right now of not having a whole lot of change. But when I look at it in conjunction with this house, I do feel like, there is going to be some new kind of a thing coming in. But for the moment, we may not be seeing that at the moment. We may just be, be holding steady and holding our ground. And, in the midst of a lot of the changes that have gone on, because this has been a highly, highly transformational time. This last, August certainly has been in a lot of ways. So this may actually just be saying to you, just kind of hold your ground, hold where you are. And you may be wanting to do that because things may be changing so quickly that you just kind of want to stand still for a few minutes and put your feet on the ground. So, again, no negative omens there. It's just, but we may be feeling, like we're, there's something new coming, but at the moment we may be reluctant to step outside of our comfort zone. Okay, so let's look at the 3rd house. This is the house of Gemini, and this has to do with communications. Now, Mercury, of course, has been retrograde. But again, it's funny. We've got another 3 here, and we've also got the Isis card. So Isis is the card of patience. When Isis comes up, this is a situation where we might need to be, where we might need to exercise care. I feel like when it comes to a communication issue with Isis, this means we need to care. We need to deal with people in a very gentle manner. Like Isis is almost motherly. Okay. So there's definitely this idea of care and nurturing, like we said, similar to Hathor over here. Although Hathor tends to be a little more Sekhmet energy to her in a way, like, a little bit more fiery. Isis tends to be a little more watery, and I feel like, but so it could have to do with that. Or Isis is very similar to the High Priestess as well. So this could literally be things that are hidden as well. So it may be that, in the mode of caring for somebody, Isis could be about, being a little bit circumspect. Like there may be certain things you don't want to reveal right now. Not because there's any kind of an issue or there's any kind of duplicity, but maybe just out of caring for somebody. Like maybe there's something, if there are people in your field of, of communications or in business, this is also a house of business. And sometimes of siblings too. So for some of you, this might apply to a brother-sister relationship. You may just want to take, the compassionate road with somebody, and that might mean not starting a conflict, not starting an argument, not talking about something, or just trying to be mindful of what somebody might need to heal at this moment in time. And with the Three of Pentacles, that's our second card, got another 3 here. Three of Pentacles. Now, for business, this would be, again, there's definitely this idea, and it's funny, you've got the 3 over here as well. This could literally be a business partnership for somebody, because Three of Pentacles is about building a foundation, and it's usually building a foundation with others, in concert with others, or with the input of others. So this is a good omen for people who are starting business, about building up a good foundation for something. Now, our 4th house is Cancer, and that's the house of the home, and our environment, our domestic life. If we, our mother, if that applies, and also just our own personal sense of security and feeling at home, or feeling secure in all ways, emotionally, physically, financially. Just that sense of security that we have. Yeah, we got Scarab here. So Scarab is indicating changes. Things are changing. There's going to be big changes coming up, and with it, we have the 4 of Swords. Interesting. It's really interesting because I'm seeing these cards that, and there's our 4s up here too. This is indication of taking time out to heal. So, and again, and I should note, 22 on here, this adds up to 4. So the number 4 is really important with regard to other people's money or something that's going on with the home situation. Scarab here could indicate for some people that they're moving. But 4 of Swords right now indicates, again, that there's a time of healing. Like we saw that Isis card over here. This is about healing. It's a card of truce in the in the more esoteric way of talking, and it's often shown as a person like a knight laying down, kind of with their hands folded, under a church window, like almost on a sarcophagus kind of a thing. And sometimes this is a card of recovering from illness. It can just be a card of, taking a break from stress and anxiety. So, so there's changes coming right now, but we, again, after I see this 4 of Pentacles up here too, I feel like we're in a position this week of, we are sensing changes, but we're not quite ready to move ahead. We need more time out. And Bastet also, I should note, in the 8th house, is also about taking time out, taking time for enjoyment. So this may just be, with the retrogrades, Venus retrogrades coming to an end. So perhaps there's certain things. Again, there's this sense of maybe being ready to charge ahead with something, feeling confident about things, knowing that things are going to change with our Wheel of Fortune here. But I feel like at the root where, these changes are most definitely coming, but we need to make sure that we're in the right headspace. We need to make sure that we're healed before we move ahead. Okay, the 5th house is Leo and Leo energy. And this also has to do with leisure and creativity, children, if that applies to you. Now we have the Osiris card. So Osiris is about stability. This could just mean, similar to the 3 of Pentacles in the sense that it could be about building a foundation for something. Osiris is being strong, solid. There's like strong Emperor energy associated with this. If you read tarot, the Emperor represents, kind of authority, confidence, taking charge. So there's a strong take charge thing, influence here. Osiris can also sometimes have to do with Sagittarius. That could apply for some people. But I feel here that it has to do, again, if it has to do with your children, it could just be, making sure you have a situation that's well in hand or under control. If it has to do with a project or a creative venture, or, this could be about having things under control. We have it with the moon. And so this might be a clue to us about what this means. And the moon, because the moon has to do with what seems like it's in the imagination, what's not, what appears maybe not to be real, or, where the path forward is not clear about something. Like we intuit that something is changing or that there's going to be something happening. And again, this is in the area of maybe creativity, children, and also potentially love affairs, by the way. And so, yeah, this could literally mean somebody coming in. I mean, Emperor energy, it's fire. I mean, it's Sagittarius. I mean, sometimes in tarot, that would be Aries. But it just feels like there's some kind of an energy potentially coming in here. And, but right now we may not be clear, or we might think we're a little delusional about it too. Like the moon can come up when we think, maybe we're too much in a fantasy realm and, not with our feet on the ground enough. And Osiris would talk about putting our feet on the ground. But it may also be telling us, no, you're more connected and more grounded in this situation than maybe you think you are. With that Pisces supermoon that we just had, that was a really, it can really give a kickstart to our intuition and helping us see things. But there's also the potential for it to generate more confusion and more fantasy. But I feel like with Osiris here, there's a balancing. Again, there's this water and fire balancing, because Osiris is most definitely fire, no matter how you look at it. And the moon is a card of either usually, well, the moon's associated with Pisces energy usually. So Pisces or Cancer potentially, but where it falls in the major arcana, I tend to think of it more as Pisces. Okay, 6th house has to do with our health. This is the house of Virgo, and this would have to do, literally with our health. And it's funny, the first card we have is the card of health, which is Horus. I mean, Horus has other meanings, but it is primarily a card of healing, and we're seeing that here as well. So yeah, this may be a time, this doesn't necessarily have to mean a physical problem, but it can mean that we have been confronting a lot of things that are perhaps emotionally, that are maybe stressing us out in a lot of ways. And this card, it seemed to indicate, a need to just take time, to take time out to heal. It promises healing too. So if you are worried about some kind of a serious illness or serious concern, Horus suggests moving on the path of healing. Okay, so that's a good thing. Now we have it with what they call the Art of Temperance. That's a good way to put the two names together. This is called the Art card in most esoteric decks, but it's called Temperance in the other decks. It's card 14. And it's this connection of Yesod and Tiferet in the Kabbalah. And so it's almost like the sun and the moon connection here. And that makes a lot of sense, because Tiferet is it's Sagittarius energy. See that up here. And it's about balancing. So again, very clearly the advice would be in terms of work, in terms of things we're worried about, in terms of our health. The idea here is to try to remain peaceful, try to maintain balance. Temperance often is a card of peace, but it may be the way in which we take opposite or contradictory things and make them flow together, rather than about, I have to pick a side. Okay, emotionally, you might be feeling caught between two things, and this may be saying you don't necessarily need to pick a side. This may be, okay, as is. I mean, you might be. This may just literally be about accepting contradictions and being at peace with them so that you can heal. Okay, so we looked at the 7th and 8th houses. We're going to jump up to the 9th house. Speaking of Sagittarius, this is the house of Sag. This is about higher ed. So if you're back to school and you're university student of some kind, this would definitely apply. Or if you're a teacher like myself, you might be back to school. And it's also a card of long distance travel for a lot of people, but it has to do with our higher philosophies, higher beliefs, of whatever type. And this is interesting because we have Urias here. So Urias indicates something, Urias is something unexpected. I often see it in such times when a situation is not clear to us, and we may think that the situation, moves from A to B, but Urias may be saying, not necessarily. There's something unexpected that's going to come in. There's some piece of a situation that you're not seeing. It could be that someone's not revealing it to you. Sometimes Urias can have to do with hidden enemies, but I find more often than not, it's a situation where the hidden enemy is ourselves. And what we end up doing is we shortchange ourselves. We look at this and we say, I look at this and I'm thinking, I may think that, I may be looking very pessimistically at a situation, okay, just for example. And actually that may not be off, because our second card is the 10 of Wands. And the 10 of Wands is, what do we have here? This is, this is oppression. So this is Saturn in Sagittarius energy, okay? And the 10 of Wands means we are overwhelmed and overburdened, and we don't know how we're going to carry all of our burdens, okay? So again, this could have to do with school. This could have to do with a trip. This could have to do with something. There's something that we feel pressure on, and there's some kind of a burden that we have to put down or let go of. And so to me, with Urias in that case, I would suggest that this means that you may believe that there is a burden you cannot put down. You may say, oh, if I do X, then Y is going to happen, and Y is going to be awful. I can't, I have to stay on top of everything, and I'm exhausted, and I don't know that I can do it, and I'm freaking out, and I'm stressed out, But Urias is saying, things are not what they appear. You know, you may think that you are oppressed or that you are oppressed by this burden, but there's another way to look at this. You're not, you know, there may be, if you may be looking at something too directly, you may have to think outside the box a little bit, or think, you know, or it may just be a case of you can drop these burdens and you think there's going to be a disaster. And this kind of is saying, you know, things are not necessarily going to work out in the way that your rational mind is telling you that they're going to work out. Urias, I find Urias comes up when we are very worried about something that never actually comes to pass, or we think that somebody, or in a particular situation, I see this a lot when you think that something's not going to come through for you, or, oh, that person said and did this, so that means they don't like me. I mean, you see things like that. And then Urias is kind of saying, no, this isn't what it appears to be. And then you'll get information down the road where you find out, oh, yeah, you're right. That what I thought it was is not what it was at all. So, and it's usually a good thing. So Urias is just kind of saying, you know, act with a little care and caution, but there's the probability that if you think you're trapped or overwhelmed with something, that you can put it down. Okay, now we're in Capricorn. This is the 10th house. This is the house of reputation, career, fame. And this is interesting because we have the Capricorn card in the Capricorn house. And Ta represents Capricorn. It represents something that's built. Saturn always requires a certain amount of hard work involved. Like you get things because you've earned them. And Ta has to do with that, you know, I mean, it can literally have to do with doing a job that's hands-on, that's, you know, crafty or building or something like that. But Ta also just indicates generally a situation of building something. So you may be building your career. You may be laying the building blocks and the foundation of something. And that really fits in with the Three of Pentacles here. Because for some people, if you are starting your own business, this could mean that if you're feeling discouraged in any way about finances, you know, although finances do look good over here, although there's this fear kind of holding firm up here, this may be just saying, you know, you're still in the building stage. Like, just keep building. You know, if you can't stop and worry about whether the house is going to get finished. You got to keep building it. And we have it with another 4. This is interesting. The 4 of Cups. So we've got 4s opposing each other here, and we've got 4s over here. And 4 of Cups, yeah, this could say be careful not to miss an opportunity. We may be so focused on how something is being built or what the outcome is of something that's being built that we might not be seeing an opportunity that's right in front of us. 4 of Cups can also suggest that we may be in a situation where we just feel bored or dissatisfied. There's something about our career or about the way certain things are going that we're not happy about. But generally it means there is something being, it's funny because normally it's a card that shows a man sitting cross-armed in front of 4 cups, or 3 cups, and then there's a 4th, there's a hand that's holding out another cup. And on the Ace of Cups in the Rider-Waite deck, that very same hand, is there. And it's interesting because we have the Ace of Cups in the Money house. So this suggests to me that, you know, you're in the middle of building something and there may be a financial opportunity that you are overlooking or ignoring. So keep your eyes open there. There may be something coming up there. And it's interesting that we have Urias in the house before, because that also has to do with things that come in that we're not expecting, and that may actually be a bonus for us. But I should also mention that Urias sometimes means it's good not to say a whole lot about something right now. Just kind of keep it to yourself. Okay, 11th house. This has to do with friendships, networking, your goals. Okay, so we have Ankh. I don't think this is the first time we've had Ankh here. So Ankh, again, this is about going for your dreams. I feel like that relates to the Ace of Cups. We want to focus our energies and our goals on what it is we truly want, what truly makes us happy, not just what we need to do to pay the bills. Okay? Even though paying the bills is clearly very important, and it's great if you're doing something that you love and also pays the bills. But this is in the house of friendships. So this indicates a lot of love and a lot of vitality that's going to come out of your friendship sector or your network. For some people, this could mean a new love coming via a friend or through a friend. There's something here about, or there could be a wish for love too. But there's definitely the sense here of, you know, I don't know. What jumps into my mind is perhaps meeting a love or meeting a new love, if you're looking for that, through a friend or through a friendship or a friend who becomes a lover. That's a possibility as well. So, but if that's not on the table for you, if you're in a relationship or you're not looking for love or whatever, then this could just mean that you need to be focused on those things that you do love, that do make you feel vital and alive. And we have it with the Aeon, which is the Judgment card. Okay, so this is from Malkut to Hod in the Kabbalah. And the Aeon is a card of judgment. Okay, this is the you're making a judgment here. There's an awakening here. So when this comes up in relationship to, whether it has to do with friendships or with your goals, I would say the Aeon is saying you're waking up to something and you need to make a choice. You need to make a decision about something. This is definitely a card of decision making. So yeah, I would, there's definitely something that's coming about here. Some possibilities for how this could play out, and I'm not predicting any of these specifically for anyone, but just to kind of put the influences together, you could have a realization or have to make a decision about between a job that you're doing now that you don't like, that's burdening you, and taking a risk to do what you really love. It could be making a decision about a person, like if you are friends, are you going to become more than friends? Something like that. There's definitely decision time when the Aeon comes up. But this is also, again, on the Rider-Waite deck, you would see the people of bodies rising out of the grave, like the Last Judgment. And that's that moment of waking up, okay? And seeing what your real choices are and how you are going to finish a situation, because it is card 20. So it is the card that falls before the World card, which is the end of the major arcana cycle. And so it's literally the card that shows up before completion. This is this decision we are making, but it's an awake decision. It's a decision that's been made based on all of the other influences that we see around us. So, and I think it's advising us to choose either to do what we love or, to choose love. I mean, that seems to be the option there. Okay, so now the 12th house, which is Pisces. And of course, the 11th house is Aquarius. The Pisces house is the house of what's hidden. And this can have to do with foreign travel, if that's something that you are contemplating or is on the table. And it's interesting because here we have Nephthys. So the fears that we have here are around what is unknown, okay? And when we have it with the Fool, that completely goes with that, because the Fool has to do, this is the, Keter and Hokmah at the top here. This is about, taking risks. But it's taking risks not really knowing where you're going. So this is the idea that you feel like you're taking a stab in the dark on something, and that's scary to you because you want some solid information. You want to take these timeouts, you want to take these timeouts and say, oh wait, I want to know what all the steps are. But I don't know, but this seems to indicate to me that, you may need to take a leap into the unknown. This may be something that you need to do, but you may be afraid of it right now. This, again, with the retrogrades going on, it seems like it may be a good time, like we have with this Aeon card, to make some decisions, but we may just want to make those decisions and make a plan, unless we have to do them sooner. Make a plan to make that jump once we get past some of these influences. It would probably be safer, but if you really, strongly feel that you have to deal with it now, then deal with it now. I mean, Uranus is at the top of this card, right? So this is very strong energy of just, Uranus is very spontaneous. It's very spontaneous and it's very unexpected. So we are worried about that, that other shoe dropping, so to speak. Like, what else is going to happen here? Or, are our dreams going to come true? Because again, there's Neptune and Uranus kind of in, because Nephthys has strong Neptune energy, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So it's, there's this strong energy that we may not be feeling quite so solid in our changes and in our dreams. So, and we may feel like we may need a little more time out. Now, if we look at the overall here, this is just a general overall card. we have water. So yeah, this is a time of movement and change. And one of the things I was talking with a friend about the other day was just how fast things seem to be moving right now. It's like, it just seems like, in June and July, it just felt like things were building up, things were going very slowly. But then all of a sudden, it's like we've got this massive information dump. Like there's just all this stuff kind of happening at once, or all these interactions happening. And they're happening during retrograde. So we want to charge ahead with them, but there's a reason that we have to consider and we have to integrate. I mean, yeah, the second card here, it's exactly what I'm saying, is the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is that's between, it's Gebura and Hode. So this is like Mars and Mercury together. Hangman is, well, first of all, it is seeing the bigger picture. Okay, Hangman, is about standing on your head and looking at this a different way. And, but it also may be a sense of feeling like a little bit stuck right now. There's a sacrifice that needs, Neptune. We have Neptune in the top corner here. And Neptune in connection with this card, Neptune is often about making a sacrifice, having to give something up in order to move ahead. But we may need to finish seeing where some of these changes land that have been happening now before we're actually able to move ahead. But the way should actually be becoming clearer at this point to us. So, don't necessarily doubt the information you're getting in. I think we're fearful of being deceived by this Piscean energy that's been connected with this full moon, but this feels more to me like this is more intuition than delusion. I'm not seeing cards of delusion here. I'm seeing more cards of, no, you can rely on your judgment, even though you may not want to act yet. You may want to be patient and take your time with something, okay? Okay, so that is our main reading. I'm going to pull Gateway Oracle cards. These are by Denise Linn, Linn, and I had picked these up. I think I picked them up last year when I was in England. It was in Plymouth, and I saw these. So let's pick a card as a final message for this week. See who wants to jump out. Oh, here we go. Hearing messages from Spirit. Here's the card. I am a clear channel for messages from Spirit. Yeah, I think this ties in very nicely with the 8th and the 12th house energy here. This is the idea that you are receiving messages and that you should not discount them. Don't think you're being delusional. Don't be filled with self-doubt. I think we're becoming clearer about what those larger messages are. I mean, if we're not somebody who believes in spirit, then these are messages that would be coming from, from your own self, from your own unconscious mind trying to prompt you on the right direction and the right way to go. But if you believe in having spirit guides or however you conceive of that for yourself, this is the idea that you are being guided or divinely guided even in some way. So there's a lot, and that makes a lot of sense with the Wheel of Fortune being like our first card. There's a lot that's going on, and in the areas where you don't know, it seems like there's going to, we're going to really start seeing the big picture, and it's going to be our intuition that's going to show it to us more than our logic. The fact that I'm seeing so many 4s in here, there's a couple of 3s as well, but I'm seeing these 3s and 4s. We are going to be moving from these initial stages into a period of stability where we're going to be taking a step back before we take the next step. And to me, I'm feeling like 3 to 4 weeks is important. And that does actually make sense because that is the point at which, while not all the retrogrades will not all be over, but as we're getting past mid-September and towards the end of September, that's going to be the period of time where I think people are going to see action as we get more towards October. So that's it for our reading for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next week.